The movie Life made audiences roar with laughter through its sharp humor and unforgettable prison buddies. But for the actors who brought that legendary story to life, real-world fate was often far crueler. Fame, fractured marriages, addiction, destroyed futures, and unexpected tragedies changed everything for this cast. Now, 25 years later, their journeys have revealed twists that no audience ever saw coming. Let's find out what really happened. First, we look at Eddie Murphy as Rayford Gibson. Born on April 3, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York, Murphy was 38 years old when he played Ray, the fast-talking, street-smart schemer leading the film in 1999. However, off-screen, his personal life was entering its most volatile chapter. His marriage to Nicole Mitchell, once a picture-perfect Hollywood union, began breaking apart under the weight of explosive arguments and the intense pressures created by Murphy's fame. Their 2006 divorce became one of the industry's most expensive, with custody disputes and public filings exposing a level of pain neither had expected when they married in 1993. A scandal with Mel B followed in 2007, where Murphy denied paternity before a DNA test confirmed he was the father, intensifying a media frenzy that left his family life bruised and the actor emotionally drained. Career stress arrived simultaneously. In 2002, The Adventures of Pluto Nash bombed so severely that Murphy nearly faced financial collapse, forcing him into a string of roles chosen for survival rather than passion. And yet he kept working through Shrek, Dreamgirls, and Norbit, all while managing lawsuits, career criticism, and the pressure of supporting a growing family of 10 children. Now, 64 years old, Murphy continues acting while maintaining a quieter, more private life, recently marrying Paige Butcher and raising their 2 children together. With an estimated net worth of $200 million, he remains a comedy icon who survived scandal, financial near-ruin, and turbulent relationships. Then there is Martin Lawrence as Claude Banks. Born on April 16, 1965, in Frankfurt, West Germany, Lawrence was 34 when he played the wide-eyed dreamer at the heart of the film. Behind the laughter, his private life was already unraveling. His first marriage to Patricia Southall, which began in 1995, cracked under accusations of violence, emotional outbursts, and the growing pressure of fame. After their 1997 divorce, a relationship with Shamika Gibbs brought temporary calm, yet the same cycle returned with long shoots, fame-driven paranoia, and custody disagreements that escalated into a messy 2014 separation. Even at his highest points, during Martin, Bad Boys, and sold-out comedy tours, his home life often lived in the shadow of turmoil created by his own instability. This tension was magnified by a terrifying health collapse in 1996. While preparing for Big Mama's House, Lawrence pushed himself into extreme heat training, collapsed during a jog, and slipped into a 3-day coma with a body temperature of 107 degrees Fahrenheit. This near-death episode left lasting damage, triggering periods of anxiety, erratic behavior, and hospitalizations that forced studios to build safety clauses into his contracts. Now, 60 years old, Murphy continues acting, returning to global fame with Bad Boys for Life and voice acting, while maintaining a quieter personal life. His estimated net worth of $110 million stands as proof of a career built from both brilliance and near collapse. Then there is Ned Beatty as Dexter Wilkins. Born on July 6, 1937, in Louisville, Kentucky, Beatty was 62 when he took on this role, which perfectly matched the authority he had carried for decades in Hollywood. But as soon as the cameras stopped rolling, his private life revealed a very different kind of confinement. His first wife, Walta Chandler, endured nearly a decade of his long absences before the marriage dissolved. His second wife, Belinda Rowley, lasted 8 years before the emotional toll of films like Deliverance finally split them apart. His longest marriage, to Dorothy Tinker Adams, broke down after 19 years, ending in a bitter property dispute that drained him emotionally far more than any role he ever played. Even when he remarried Sandra Johnson in 1999, the peace he found came only after decades of damage. The strain didn't end at home. Years of demanding shoots, cross-country travel, and the lingering weight of emotionally heavy roles slowly eroded his stamina. The physical wear showed during later productions like Shooter and the promotional cycle for Toy Story 3. By his late 70s, the fatigue had become impossible to disguise. Beatty died on June 13, 2021, at 83 years old, passing quietly at his Los Angeles home after more than 50 years of nonstop work. He left behind 8 children, a career of more than 160 roles, and an estimated net worth of $5 million, modest for a man of his longevity, but earned through relentless endurance rather than glamour. Oba Babatunde played Willie Long, the gentle inmate whose smile masked years of buried pain. Born on December 31, 1952 in Queens, New York, Babatunde was 47 at the time. It was a performance rooted in a truth he understood intimately. Quiet men often carried the heaviest histories. The character resonated deeply with him because the heaviest struggles of his own life unfolded behind closed doors. His marriage to Jane Wheeler began in 1981 full of optimism, but the demands of his Broadway years quickly tested them. Touring with Dreamgirls kept him away for months, creating arguments over separation and finances that neither expected. When he transitioned to Hollywood, the industry's racial barriers struck even harder. He lost leading roles, took underpaid supporting work, and went through stretches where acting couldn't support the family. By the mid-1990s, the pressure escalated to the point where they nearly divorced, saved only by Babatunde's return to steadier stage work and voice acting. As his career expanded, his body paid the price. Constantly shifting between filming, rehearsals, and narration booths left him drained, especially during productions like Philadelphia and later Dear White People. Exhaustion became its own chronic battle, forcing him to adopt strict routines of yoga and controlled schedules to keep from burning out entirely. Now 73 years old, Babatunde continues acting across television and stage, choosing projects that allow him balance. His estimated net worth of $1.5 million reflects a career built on decades of discipline and a refusal to disappear from an industry that once tried to shut him out. Bernie Mac appeared as Jangle Leg, the jittery, sharp-tongued inmate. Born on October 5, 1957, in Chicago, Illinois, Mac was 42 when he filmed Life. His performance barely hid a much darker dependence beneath the jokes, shaped by a man already fighting demons long before Hollywood knew his name. His marriage to Rhonda Gore in 1977 survived storms few couples could endure. During his rise from Chicago clubs to Def Comedy Jam, Mac's battles with alcohol and cocaine strained their home life to the breaking point. When the original Kings of Comedy finally made him a star, the workload exploded, bringing new arguments about overwork and the fear that success might take him away in a different way. Just as their marriage stabilized, his health collapsed. Diagnosed with sarcoidosis in 2004, he pushed through filming Ocean's 13, Guess Who, and the final seasons of The Bernie Mac Show while coughing through takes and hiding joint pain. The disease weakened his immune system, and pneumonia followed him like a shadow. In his last year, 3 hospitalizations in just a few months forced him to cancel tours, and Rhonda became both his wife and full-time caregiver. Mac died on August 9, 2008, at only 50 years old after pneumonia triggered a fatal cardiac arrest. He left behind Rhonda, their daughter Janice, and a legacy cemented by his iconic show. His net worth of $15 million reflected a career that burned brightly but ended far too soon, proving that even the loudest laughter cannot drown out deep-seated pain. Arlie Ermey played the older Sheriff Pike, Born on March 24, 1944 in Emporia, Kansas, Ermey was 55 when he took the role of the rigid lawman. The role fit him naturally because his real life had been molded by battles far harsher than anything on screen. His first marriage fell apart shortly after his return from Vietnam, when the PTSD he brought home began poisoning every attempt at normalcy. Alcohol became his nightly armor, and arguments escalated until the marriage shattered under the weight of trauma. When he married Nyla Ermey in 1975, the love was real, but the scars remained. She spent decades navigating his mood swings and unpredictable temper. As acting replaced the battlefield, typecasting became its own prison. His explosive success in Full Metal Jacket made him famous, but it also chained him to the drill sergeant persona for nearly every job that followed, including Mississippi Burning and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The constant intensity, paired with years of smoking, worsened the lung damage that PTSD had already made harder to manage. By the early 2000s, COPD and repeated pneumonia left him short of breath between lines, forcing him to cling to oxygen during long shoots. Ermey died on April 15, 2018, at 74 years old from complications related to pneumonia. His estimated net worth of $12 million stood as the final measure of a man who survived war, Hollywood, and himself. Barry Shabaka Henley played Poker Face, the silent card shark. Born on September 15, 1954 in New Orleans, Louisiana, Henley was 42 during production. The role mirrored the quiet endurance he carried off-screen, where hardship often arrived without warning. His marriage to Vanessa Shaw in the 1990s began with promise, but strained quickly under the demands of a career that refused to settle. When his early TV pilot Clippers failed and left him drowning in debt, the financial pressure seeped into their home life. As his career revived with The Terminal and work with director Michael Mann, travel and long shoots replaced financial stress with emotional distance, and the marriage unraveled in the 2000s. The collapse of his marriage collided with a period of mental strain he rarely discussed. The uncertainty of being cast mostly in supporting roles like Allie and Miami Vice left him feeling overlooked, triggering bouts of depression and exhaustion. He rebuilt slowly through stage work and teaching, using the discipline of jazz performance to navigate years of instability until his mental health steadied. Now 68 years old, Henley remains active in television, recently gaining new recognition through Bob Hart's Abishola. His estimated net worth of $3 million reflects a life built on resilience, a fitting ending for a man who mastered how to keep a calm face. Clarence Williams III played Winston Hancock, the quiet, watchful inmate. Born on August 21, 1939 in New York City, Williams was 60 years old in 1999. That quiet danger mirrored the man himself, someone who had already survived fame, addiction, and collapse. His marriage to actress Gloria Foster began in 1967, but when heroin addiction consumed him through the 1970s, Foster watched him spiral into near-fatal overdoses and professional humiliation. The addiction poisoned everything, roles disappeared, and the marriage fractured in 1984. Although they stayed close, the marriage never recovered from the years when drugs spoke louder than love. The aftermath followed him for decades. Even when he rebuilt himself through Purple Rain and Deep Cover, the industry refused to forget the chaos, often typecasting him as broken men. He worked constantly but rarely freely. When illness finally crept in, colon cancer took advantage of a body already worn down. Williams died on June 4, 2021 at 81 years old from complications related to pneumonia. His estimated net worth of $1 million reflected a lifetime of brilliant moments overshadowed by battles he never stopped fighting.
Rick James played Spanky, the smooth-talking prison musician. Born on February 1, 1948, in Buffalo, New York, James was 51 when he appeared in Life. This role disguised a chaos far darker than anything on screen, as his downfall had already begun swallowing the legend behind Super Freak. His marriage to Adina Howard unraveled under the weight of a cocaine addiction that had taken full control of his life. Violence, paranoia, and sleepless binges tore through the relationship. His 1998 conviction for assaulting 2 women marked the moment his career collapsed entirely, reducing the king of punk funk to headlines soaked in scandal. The damage didn't stop there. Years of cocaine abuse left his heart permanently weakened. After a massive on-stage stroke in 1998, he never truly recovered. Diabetes, a pacemaker, and chronic exhaustion shaped his final years, even as he tried to revive his name through writing and rare stage performances. Rick James died on August 6, 2004, at age 56 from pulmonary and cardiac failure, with 9 drugs, including cocaine, still in his system. He left behind a complicated legacy and an estimated net worth of $7 million. His journey from funk royalty to tragedy remains one of music's most painful falls. Heavy D played Jake, the cheerful inmate. Born on May 24, 1967, in Mandeville, Jamaica, he was 32 when he took the role. His character's easy smile hid a lifetime of pressure, and in reality, his own body had begun sending warnings long before anyone realized the danger. His short marriage to Antonia Herrera was tested by his battles with weight and the emotional strain of constant touring. Even as he became the face of upbeat New York hip-hop, the personal toll was heavy, involving late-night binge eating and a quiet dependence on painkillers to numb the stress. The grief of losing group member T-Roy in 1990 remained a wound he carried forever. By the 2000s, his health fluctuated dramatically. He tried to reinvent himself in acting, appearing in The Cider House Rules, but every comeback was slowed by fatigue and shortness of breath. His weight, once part of his charm, became a medical threat. Behind the laughter was a man battling heart disease and circulation issues he kept hidden from fans. Heavy D died suddenly on November 8, 2011, at age 44, collapsing outside his home after a blood clot traveled to his lung. He left behind an estimated net worth of $5 million and a legacy that ended far too early. O'Neill Compton played Superintendent Abernathy, the stern warden. Born on February 5, 1951, in Sumter, South Carolina, Compton was 49 at the time. Off-screen, his life was far more fragile than the characters he played. His private relationships were marked by distance and isolation, strained by constant travel. While acting offered visibility, photography was what truly consumed him emotionally, leading to long nights developing portraits for elite clients. This life looked glamorous, but exhausted every partnership he attempted, leaving him increasingly solitary. Then came the fall in 2003 that changed everything. While living in Brazil, he suffered a devastating accident that left him partially paralyzed. Rehabilitation was long and painful, and the damage stole the momentum he had built through films like Nixon and Deep Impact. His health worsened year after year with diabetes and chronic infections tied to the paralysis. Compton died on February 18, 2019, at age 67 after a long-term medical decline. He left behind an estimated net worth of $1 million and a scattered collection of photographs across the world. Anthony Anderson played Cookie, the wisecracking inmate. Born on August 15, 1970, in Compton, California, Anderson was 29 during life. Behind the laughs was a man whose personal life would later unravel in ways no script could prepare him for. As career momentum pushed him into constant work like Barbershop and The Departed, the workload slowly hollowed out his marriage to Alvina Stewart. They separated in 2014, reconciled, and then collapsed for good in 2022. At the same time, Anderson was battling type 2 diabetes, a struggle he kept quiet for years while filming long days on Blackish. The strain deepened when his stepfather passed away in 2022, leaving Anthony responsible for a grieving family while maintaining a smiling public persona. Juggling legal disputes and burying private pain behind punchlines became a survival skill. As of 2025, Anderson is 55 years old, still working and navigating the emotional bruises of a marriage that ended twice. With an estimated net worth of $40 million, he continues to prove that even a man known for laughter can carry a heavy story.